Hello, and welcome back to Bedtime Stories with Vice Vice Baby, where we will continue good stories for great holidays. A Flag Incident by M. Thomas. Adapted. When marching to Chattanooga, the chorus has reached a little wooden valley between the mountains. The colonel, with others, rode ahead, and striking to a bypath, suddenly came up on a secluded little cabin surrounded by a patch of cultivated ground. At the door, an old woman, 80 years of age, was supporting herself in a crutch. As they rode up, she asked if they were Yankees, and upon their replying that they were, she said, "Have you got the stars and stripes with you? My father fought the Tories in the Revolution, and my old eyes ache for a sight of the true flag before I die." To gratify her, the colonel sent to have the colors brought that way. When they were unfurled and planted before her door, she passed her trembling hands over them and held them close to her eyes that she might view the stars once more. When the band gave her Yankee Doodle and the Star-Spangled Banner, she sobbed like a child, as she did her daughter, a woman of 50, while her three little grandchildren gazed in wonder. They were Eastern people who had gone to New Orleans to try to improve their condition. Not being successful, they had moved from place to place to better themselves until they had settled on this spot, the husband having taken several acres of land here for a debt. Then the war burst upon them. The man fled to the mountains to avoid the conscription, and they knew not whether he was alive or dead. They had managed to support life, but were so retired that they saw very few people. Leaving them food and supplies, the colonel and the chorus passed on. The Young Sentinel by Z.A. Mudge. Adapted. In the summer of 1862, a young man belonging to a Vermont regiment was found sleeping at his post. He was tried and sentenced to be shot. The day was fixed for the execution, and the young soldier calmly prepared to meet his fate. Friends who knew of the case brought the matter to Mr. Lincoln's attention. It seemed that the boy had been on duty one night, and on the following night he had taken the place of a comrade too ill to stand guard. The third night he had been again called out, and being utterly exhausted, had fallen asleep at his post. As soon as Mr. Lincoln understood the case, he signed a pardon and sent it to the camp. The morning before the execution arrived, and the president had not heard whether the pardon had reached the officers in charge of the matter. He began to feel uneasy. He ordered a telegram to be sent to the camp, but received no answer. State papers should not fix his mind, nor could he banish the condemned soldier boy from his thoughts. At last, feeling that he must know that the lad was safe, he ordered the carriage and rode rapidly 10 miles over a dusty road and beneath a scorching sun. When he reached the camp, he found that the pardon had been received and the execution stayed. The sentinel was released, and his heart was filled with lasting gratitude. When the campaign opened in the spring, the young man was with his regiment near Yorktown, Virginia. They were ordered to attack a fort, and he fell at the first volley of the enemy. His comrades caught him up and carried him bleeding and dying from the field. "Bear witness," he said, "that I have proved myself not a coward, and I am not afraid to die." Then, making a last effort, with his dying breath, he prayed for Abraham Lincoln. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Bedtime Stories with Vice Vice Baby. I hope you'll have a good night and sweet dreams.